With a level 6 weather warning still in effect, the province remains on high alert. What is being done to assist those affected? How prepared is the province for future disasters? We're now joined by KZN COGTA spokesperson to provide critical updates on the situation and ongoing relief efforts on the show today. Now, appreciate you coming on to the show. Now, the first question is, can you give us the latest update on the flood situation in KZN and which areas remain most affected?
Good day to you and good day to your viewers at home. The province of KZN is experiencing inclement weather conditions. As from Thursday, a number of incidents have occurred across the province. The main areas that have been affected is the Hugo district, where we find Port Shepstone, the Ilembe district, where we find KwaZulu-Natal, and also eThekwini, where a majority of the damage has taken place already. As you've indicated in your report shortly, there has been a loss of life in a number of areas. The MEC for KwaZulu-Natal, Reverend Ribatika, has sent condolences to all the families that have lost loved ones. One of the tragic incidents that occurred was in the Makoba family on Thursday in Lalazi, Ward 6, where a lightning strike occurred in the household and 4 people were severely injured and taken to hospital. And a 10-year-old child, unfortunately, succumbed to the injuries that they suffered during the lightning strike. Local management teams are continuing across the province to provide the relevant support to affected communities.
Senzo, have emergency rescue teams been able to reach all affected areas? And are there still people unaccounted for?
Well, from the reports that we have that are coming from the various municipalities across the province, the extent of the damage is 90% damage to infrastructure, roads, community halls, and there's a number of shopping centers as well that have been flooded in the area of eThekwini since Thursday. In terms of the full extent of the damage, assessments are still being done right now. There are a number of communities that have been affected, but the number would not expect it to be extensive. Local management teams are working across the clock. One of the damages as well that the province suffered, it was to infrastructure that brings electricity. Electricity lines were blown over during the storm, and the government of KOGTA is working closely with Eskom to ensure that communities are brought back online.
Now, how long do you expect this period to be before electricity and water services are brought back to those families that are impacted?
Technical teams in municipalities and Eskom teams are working across the clock. There were certain disruptions that took place as a result of the ongoing weather conditions, but we do know that there are some communities that have been successfully brought back online, but there are communities as well that still have not had electricity, but teams are working around the clock to ensure that they are reconnected as soon as possible.
Senzo, are there concerns about the province's ability to handle recurring flooding events? I mean, given KZN's history of severe weather disasters in the last few years, it seems to be, back-to-back challenges.
Well, the province finds itself in this situation where consistently it is facing significant weather patterns. You'll remember also that normally April and May, that is when we experience extensive heavy rain. So we're not even there yet, and already we are seeing a lot of damage that has taken place. So far, since the beginning of the year, we have suffered billions of rand in damage to critical infrastructure. And this comes at a time when the province is working hard to ensure that it builds critical infrastructure in municipalities to ensure that services do arrive. And then these storms come and cause massive damage, thus risking the province's agenda. But also, what we can point out, though, is that the MEC for KOGTA, Reverend Ribatika, is also working closely with social partners to ensure that they bring on board their expertise, their resources to improve the province's disaster response capabilities, which are at a very good place right now. But as you can see, that the demand just keeps going each and every week, it seems.
Now, it is pretty clear from the level of disaster and the challenges that KZN is facing that this obviously is a national disaster of sorts, if you will. I just want us to go back to 2022 and those unfortunate floods that destroyed many homes and families and numerous lives were lost. What are the lessons that have been learned from 2022 and what has been implemented since?
Well, in terms of floods that we experienced, in 2022, we do remember them. It was wide-scale flooding that took place across the province of KZN. I think one of the key things that we've seen is that the power of public. We saw communities come out. We saw also social partners forming stronger bonds with the provincial government to ensure that interventions are done. We also have a number of projects that are on the ground right now that are aimed at mitigating the impact of the floods across the province. But also what we've seen as well is the provincial government's commitment to ensuring that there is a swift response to the challenges that are faced by communities. We also saw the national government's swift response as well in providing support to the province during what was a traumatic time for the province. But also these partnerships do continue even now, and they continue to bear fruit even now as the province responds to the latest incident.
Now, finally, what support is available for small businesses and informal traders affected by the floods?
The Department of COGTA, through the Provincial Disaster Management Center, currently busy with a number of assessments that are taking place as we speak right now. After these assessments are done, a number of intervening departments will be engaged. Here we're talking about the Department of Transport, Social Development, Education, also the Department of Economic Development within the province of KZN. These intervening departments will then have the task of ensuring that they provide sufficient responses to the affected stakeholders. Also, I must mention as well, we cannot forget the agriculture sector as well, that we are doing assessments as well on that front as well. And once these assessments are done, these intervening departments, including agriculture, they will then make their interventions into the support that they would provide to these various stakeholders that have been affected.
Senzelwa Mzila, KZN COGTA spokesperson, speaking to us about the recent floods in KZN and the impact that they've had, and obviously the reaction of the local government in dealing with those issues.